You've noticed it, haven't you? Money comes toward you, and something inside you steps back. Not loudly, not rebelliously, just a subtle tightening, like a door closing without a sound. An empath does not refuse money consciously. It happens deeper, where meanings are born. You feel the energy behind everything, and money to you rarely feels neutral. It carries echoes: pressure, greed, manipulation, hunger. You don't just see the transaction, you feel the invisible threads attached to it. And somewhere along the way, you made a silent vow: I will not become that. So you hesitate, you undercharge, you give more than you receive. Not because you lack skill, but because your soul is filtering reality through truth, not survival. And truth in this world is rarely profitable at first glance. But here is the hidden fracture. You confuse money with what wounded you about money, and that confusion becomes your invisible ceiling. Some beliefs aren't yours. They entered quietly through tone, through tension, through watching. Maybe you saw someone powerful use money as control. Maybe you felt love become conditional around it. Maybe you learned that those who have are somehow less pure than those who give. And as an empath, you didn't just observe this, you absorbed it. Your psyche, like a deep well, held onto the emotional truth of those moments. And from that well, a narrative formed. Money changes people. Money corrupts. If I stay good, I must stay separate from it. This is not logic. This is imprint. And until you see it, you live inside it, mistaking it for your identity. But what if the problem was never money? What if it was the pain wrapped around it? You don't struggle with value. You struggle with visibility. To receive money, you must be seen, not just noticed, felt, acknowledged, chosen. And for an empath, being seen is never simple, because being seen means being exposed. And being exposed has not always been safe. You learn to read the room, not to dominate it, to soften, not to assert, to harmonize, not to disrupt. But money flows toward clarity, toward presence, toward those who allow themselves to take up space. And here is the paradox. The very sensitivity that gives you depth also makes you instinctively step out of the spotlight. You whisper where the world rewards those who declare, not because you are weak, but because you feel too much to pretend. There is a part of you you don't fully look at. Carl Jung called it the shadow, the aspects of self we exile to remain acceptable. For you, that shadow may hold something unexpected: desire, ambition, power. Yes, power. You've learned to associate power with harm, so you pushed it away, buried it beneath kindness, beneath service, beneath humility. But the psyche does not erase, it stores. And what is buried does not disappear. It influences. So when money begins to approach, it activates the shadow. If I have more, will I become someone I fear? So you unconsciously limit yourself. Not because you cannot rise, but because rising feels like betrayal. But what if your version of power was never meant to resemble theirs? What if it was meant to transform it? You feel energy before logic. You can sense when something is off, even if it looks perfect on the surface. So when work feels draining, misaligned, or forced, you cannot sustain it. Not for long. Others push through. You dissolve. And this is where the world misunderstands you, calls you inconsistent, undisciplined, unfocused. But the truth is more precise. You are calibrated to alignment. Money earned in misalignment feels heavy in your hands. It does not nourish, it depletes. So you abandon paths others would endure. Not because you lack strength, but because your system rejects what is not true. And yet, you were never taught how to earn in alignment. So you stand between two worlds, the one that pays but drains you, and the one that calls you but feels uncertain. This is the empath's threshold. You give before you receive, not strategically, not consciously, instinctively, because somewhere inside, you learned that your worth is proven through giving, through helping, through being needed. So you over-deliver, you anticipate, you offer more than what was asked. And when it's time to receive, something falters. You minimize, you discount, you hesitate, because receiving feels exposed, undeserved, heavy. So the balance breaks, and money, being a mirror of exchange, responds accordingly. It does not punish you. It simply reflects the equation you are living, giving without boundaries, receiving without permission, and so the flow never stabilizes. Rejection is not neutral for you. It lingers. A no is not just feedback, it echoes. It expands, touches older places inside you. So you avoid situations where rejection is possible. You delay launching. You soften your offer. You wait until it feels perfect. But perfection is not your goal. Safety is. And here lies the hidden cost. Money requires exposure to uncertainty, to risk, to the possibility of being misunderstood. And each time you hold back to protect yourself, you also hold back the path through which abundance could find you. Not because the world is rejecting you, but because you are pre-rejecting yourself. You think it should be hard, not consciously, but deeply, because what comes naturally to you, your intuition, your insight, your ability to understand others, feels effortless. And so you question its value. If it's easy for me, how can it be worth much? But this is the illusion. Your gifts are easy for you because they are yours. To others, they are rare, transformational, needed. But until you recognize that, you will keep underestimating what flows through you. And money, again, mirrors perception. It does not measure your gift. It measures how you hold it. There is a quiet agreement running beneath your choices. Sounds like this: I will stay small but safe. Safe from judgment. Safe from conflict. Safe from becoming someone you don't recognize. But also, safe from expansion. Safe from impact. Safe from receiving more than you know how to hold. And so life complies. It gives you just enough. Enough to survive. Enough to continue. But not enough to disrupt the identity you've built. Because breaking that contract would mean stepping into something unfamiliar. A version of you who can feel deeply and still receive fully. And that version feels unknown. There comes a moment, not loud, not dramatic, when something shifts. You begin to see that money is not the enemy. It never was. It is simply a language, a current, a reflection. And like all currents, it takes the shape of the one who channels it. You begin to separate the past from the present, the wounds from the possibilities, the fear from the truth. And slowly, carefully, you allow yourself to receive, not by becoming someone else, but by becoming more of who you already are. An empath who does not disappear to stay pure. An empath who remains open and still chooses to be valued. And in that choice, something begins to flow. It doesn't happen all at once. There is no sudden transformation, no overnight abundance. Only small moments. Moments where you don't apologize for your price. Moments where you say no without explaining. Moments where you allow yourself to be seen without shrinking. At first, it feels unfamiliar. Then, it feels possible. You start to notice something subtle. The more you honor your energy, the more money begins to feel clean, neutral, even supportive. You realize money was never asking you to betray yourself. It was waiting for you to include yourself. And as that realization deepens, you stop chasing it. You stop fearing it. You begin to meet it as an equal, not as someone who must prove their worth, but as someone who has finally remembered it. And in that remembering, the flow returns, quietly, naturally, like something that was never meant to be forced, only allowed. There is a strange place you arrive at sometimes. Not lack, not abundance, just enough. Enough to continue. Enough to not panic. Enough to avoid asking deeper questions. And for an empath, enough can become a quiet trap, because it allows you to remain who you've been without confronting who you could become. You feel the pull toward more. Not just more money, more expression, more expansion, more life moving through you. But then something whispers, don't push it. Be grateful. Don't want too much. And you listen, because wanting more feels dangerously close to becoming someone excessive, someone disconnected, someone you were taught not to be. So you stay at the threshold, not realizing that enough is not peace. It is postponed transformation. There was a version of you that survived by being soft, by adapting, by sensing, by staying attuned to others so deeply that you almost disappeared in the process. That version of you was necessary, protected you, it shaped you, it gave you the sensitivity you now carry. But it was never meant to define your future. And yet, part of you still clings to it, because evolving beyond that identity feels like losing something sacred. If I become more assertive, am I still me? If I ask for more, am I still kind? You confuse growth with loss. But growth, for you, is not about becoming harder. It is about becoming whole. And wholeness includes your ability to receive without dissolving. Your mind may understand money, but your body, that is where the real story lives. When more begins to enter your life, more clients, more visibility, more income, your system reacts. Not always with joy, sometimes with tension, with restlessness, with an urge to retreat, because your nervous system is calibrated to a certain level of intensity. And abundance is intensity. It brings attention, responsibility, change. So even when you consciously want more, your body whispers, "This is unfamiliar. This is unsafe." And without realizing it, you slow it down. You delay. You create distance. Not because you are incapable, but because you have not yet learned how to feel safe while expanding. Somewhere along the way, you were shown a distorted form of love. A version where giving meant losing, where caring meant carrying, where being good meant being last. And as an empath, you didn't question it. You embodied it. So now, when money enters the picture, it collides with this internal myth. If I truly care, I shouldn't charge too much. If I help people, it shouldn't be about money. But look closer. This belief does not create purity. It creates depletion. And depletion helps no one. What you call self-sacrifice is often self-erasure in disguise. And money becomes difficult not because it is wrong, but because you have linked it to a betrayal of love. There are moments you don't speak about. Moments when you've given so much and received so little. Moments when you've been there for others and found no one there for you. And something inside you tightens. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet, almost invisible resentment. But you don't express it, because empaths are not taught how to hold anger, only how to understand it. So it turns inward. And this is where the flow begins to distort, because part of you still wants to give, and another part is tired of being drained. So when opportunities to earn arise, you hesitate, because receiving now feels tangled in unprocessed emotion. Not just about money, but about fairness, about reciprocity, about being seen. And until that is acknowledged, money will continue to feel complicated. So why is it difficult for an empath to make money? Not because you are too sensitive, not because the world is too harsh, not because money is inherently corrupt or incompatible with who you are. It is difficult because you feel everything that others ignore. You feel the past inside the present. You feel the energy behind the exchange. You feel the subtle fractures between giving and receiving. And without guidance, that depth becomes entanglement. You internalize what was never yours. You protect yourself in ways that limit you. You confuse alignment with avoidance. You confuse kindness with self-denial. And so money becomes heavy, not in reality, but in meaning. But here is what shifts everything. The moment you realize that your sensitivity was never the obstacle, it was the instrument. An instrument that, once understood, allows you to create a different relationship with money. One that is clean, conscious, intentional, where you do not abandon your nature, you refine it, where you do not harden, you stabilize, where you do not stop feeling, you learn to choose what you carry. And in that space, money is no longer something you struggle to reach. It becomes something that can finally reach you, not because you changed who you are, but because you stopped abandoning yourself within it. If any of this has sparked a quiet realization in you, share it in the comments. And if you feel this journey unfolding within you, Stay connected. Subscribe so these reflections can continue to find you when you need them most. Thanks for watching.